Hey everyone, Matt here from Docs Running, and today we're going to do a comparison review of the Asics Gel Kayano 30 and the Hoka Gaviota 5. Now, the reason for this is both these shoes are actually somewhat similar. Both of them are max cushion shoes, both of them are kind of on the higher end of stability, and both of them are now doing more guidance-based methods than were done previously. The other really big similarity is they're both popular stability shoes, not just for running, but if you go out to the public, you will see lots of people wearing these and walking around and wearing them casually. I can tell you from being in the hospitals, there's a lot of nurses, physicians, PTs, OTs, all kinds of people wearing these when they're standing on their feet for long periods. So if you're also curious about these, I really want to do a review that helps you figure out which one might work better for you, because there are some significant differences that we will need to think about that'll work better for different people. So starting off with specs and comparing them directly, I'm going to use size 10 from now on because companies are doing too many different sizes as their standard. The Hoka Gaviota 5 is coming in at 10.9 ounces in mine size 9, for about 308 grams. The Kayano 30 is coming in at 11.3 ounces or about 318 grams for my scale. So a little bit of weight difference. The Gaviota does feel a little bit lighter. There's a reason for that, and we'll talk about that. Stack height wise, 38 and a half in the heel, 32 and a half in the forefoot over in the Gaviota 5 for a 6mm drop, although it feels a lot lower than that. The Kayano 30 is 40 in the heel, 30 in the forefoot for a 10mm drop. And that's kind of where I want to start, is the drop does feel really different. The Gaviota 5 feels closer to like a 3 to 4mm drop. So if you want a really low drop shoe that provides some stability, this is going to be a really, really good option. If you have a stiffer ankle or stiffer calf and you want something higher drop, the Kayano 30 is probably going to be a shoe that's going to work a little bit better for you, because that drop is noticeable, but not in a overly bad way. It's just definitely there compared to the Gaviota 5. The other thing is the ride is going to be different. Now, this will be a little bit different walking versus running. Running, the posterior heel flare makes the Kayano 30 just feel a little bit clunky in the rear foot when you're transitioning. It's a lot better than some of the other versions that they've had, but it's just a little bit more noticeable. When you're walking, it feels totally fine. The Gaviota, with its better rockered heel, does feel a lot smoother on heel transition, both during walking and running. So if you like a beveled heel, this might be a little bit better option for you. But the forefoot is a little bit smoother in the Kayano 30 versus the Gaviota 5. I've noticed, I don't know if it's the lower drop feeling, the Gaviota 5 feels like a little bit stiffer forefoot. The Kayano 30 feels a little bit smoother at the forefoot. So that's something you really need. That's something to take care of. Again, not super flexible, fairly good forefoot rockers, but a little bit more over here and a little bit smoother over in the Kayano 30. In terms of fit, that's the other thing where these really, really differ. Now, both of them are on the wider side, especially compared to the last versions, with both these had kind of snug fits in the prior versions. These now fit wider. The difference is the Kayano 30 is slightly wide, the Gaviota 5 is really wide. So if you want to be able to spread your toes out a ton, have a lot of volume up and down height-wise, the Gaviota 5 is going to work better. If you just want a little bit more room, the Kayano 30 is going to work better, and I still have not had any issue in terms of locking these down. They both have fairly plush uppers. The upper of the Kayano 30 is a little bit thicker. The Gaviota 5 is a little bit thinner. That being relative, again, because they both have fairly plush, slightly thicker uppers. So that's kind of the big thing. In terms of going back to ride, the Kayano 30 is just slightly firmer than the Gaviota 5. This just feels a little bit softer. There's still a ton of cushioning underfoot. And the last thing is how they're doing stability. Yes, they're both doing stable neutral. They have wide bases. They've got big sidewalls. But how it feels after that is different, where I can't believe I'm saying this about a Kayano 30, or about the Kayano series. The stability feels really well integrated. I don't feel a post-like feeling. I do feel medial pressure along the length of the shoe here, but it's very well integrated. It just feels like a really stable shoe. If you're running, they've actually done this thing called 4D guidance, where there's a softer bouncier foam that if you land, it's supposed to bounce you out. I don't really feel that during walking, or running, to be that much clear, that honest, but it just feels like a fairly smooth and very stable ride on both sides. The Gaviota 5 is now using what's called an H-frame, so they've gotten rid of the post, at least it's supposed to, where it's this kind of thicker material in the middle, and then there's these like lines that kind of come out here on each part that's supposed to provide some resistance if you try to go in that direction. I feel that this has a fairly high arch. It's got a lot of pressure on the medial side of my midfoot. So if that's something you want, if you want that higher arch feeling, the Gaviota might work better. If you don't and you want it well integrated, but you still want medial stability, the Kayano 30 might be a better option for you. So both of them are good shoes, both of them are comfortable, but just some big factors that might help you make a decision, because they are, at the end of the day, fairly different.